Hey guys, it is I, Kuroninja, and both tokusatsu and idols have been connected for a long time. I'm surprised that I'm still the only one in the toku community who knows a lot of idols who are into Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. The other day I found out from someone that my most favorite idol also knows about tokusatsu. Now with this overlap between idols and toku fans, it's no surprise that KingOhger would have an episode about idols. Dawn Brothers had one in episode 12, Kira Major had one in episode 10. I'm not sure if Kyuranger episode 35 counts, but you get the point. In this video, I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the 38th episode of Ohsama Sentai KingOhger. But first, it's been a while since my review of the Kyoryuger crossover, so I'm going to do some mini reviews of episodes 34 to 37. Now with that out of the way, let's begin. Episode 34 is when the KingOhgers returned to Chikyu, but there was a time warp. So when they returned, Dagded's generals took over all the kingdoms except Magnarak. The one in charge of Shugo Dam is a new general named Shugo Mask, who presented everyone with gifts from the other kingdoms. At first I was confounded on why we're supposed to see him as a villain, because materialism is not inherently a bad thing. But then it turns out that Shugo Mask turned out to be Rakulas the whole time. Now the whole idea of Rakulas' character is that he presents himself as a benevolent ruler, but behind the scenes, he's actually a bad person who's hungry for power and will try to get rid of anyone who doesn't fit his vision of a perfect kingdom. And now he's giving stuff away as part of his facade. I have experience with someone who's almost like that, but that was years ago. Episode 35, the KingOhgers focus on taking back Nkosopa from Hillbill Leech. I enjoyed learning about Yanma's backstory and how he made his kingdom into a better place. Hillbill is one of the most annoying villains because of how she can make herself immune to most of the KingOhgers' attacks. The ending wasn't very satisfying, with Yanma having to destroy Nkosopa's computer because he was unable to reclaim it from Hillbill, but I think the KingOhgers will be back there later. Episode 36 is an interesting one. It features Kamejim trying to take down the KingOhgers by disguising himself as Himeno, but the real Himeno and many others got captured and poisoned. We got to see the true form of Himeno's butler Sebastian, and the fact that Kamejim took over the kingdom of the Yellow Ranger is interesting, because yellow is the color of my least favorite idol, whose name sounds like Kamejim. Episode 37 is also very interesting because we got to see the backstory of Kaguragi Diboski. It turns out that Hiroki took all the rice from everyone not because of greed or corruption, but because Grody contaminated all of it. Grody's monster form also looks very cool. Tofu is one of my favorite kingdoms in the series, and I even had the chance to go there a couple months ago. And now, with all these mini reviews done, here's my review of episode 38 of Ohsama Sentai KingOhger. The episode starts with Rita Kanisuka joining an idol audition. This is where things get interesting, because we were set up to see Goma Rosalia ruling over Gokhan. However, there's more focus on another general, Minungan Moth, who didn't seem like much when he first debuted, but now he's more interesting. Now we got to see a lot of flashbacks for the other KingOhgers focus episodes, except for Rita. I think that's because Rita is supposed to be a mysterious character, but we should already know their character by now. I think Rita's whole story is meant to be about the pressure that a lot of people face in high-ranking positions, where they have to keep a certain impression. Rita became the ruler of Gokhan at a very young age because Grody was imprisoned by the previous monarch. They have to present themselves as stoic when dealing with prisoners because Gokhan is supposed to be lawful neutral. It's only in Rita's private quarters that they get a break from having to uphold this image, since the monarch is a representative of the kingdom as a whole. Occasionally, Rita screams into the air when things don't go their way, which is a hint at their neutrality being just part of an image they have to maintain. Ironically, Japanese idols also have an image that they have to show to their fans. I'm not going to go into detail on this because most of the YouTube videos I've seen about idols are very biased and poorly researched. They tend to cherry pick details that prove their point, despite the fact that there are self-produced idol groups who started from the ground up, and there are some idols who got married with no problem. So shut the fuck up. Anyway, Rita decided to go undercover as an idol to investigate Minangan's plan. It's surprising because the idol persona is a complete 180 of Rita's usual expression. Now sometimes because of that image that idols usually have, some of them don't come off as genuine, but Rita's next idol performance seemed genuine because they were singing the theme song to their favorite series. Now one thing about Mofun's theme song is that it implies that the characters are trapped with Mofun forever. I think this is why Rita is a fan of the series, because they feel trapped in their position position as the ruler of Gokhan. When you're in charge of enforcing the laws of the whole world, that's definitely a lot of pressure for one person. Now, there's one more thing about Minangan. We find out that he is hiding something inside of him. I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling that whatever it is, it might be the key to defeating Grody Loikodium without Rita having to sacrifice themselves. Before I end the review, I'd like to talk about some miscellaneous stuff. The cameo from Rina Ikoma's Iko Marino was alright. I imagine this would be how my two favorite members of Hachimitsu Block would react if they were transported into a tokusatsu, especially Moneko Tsuzumi if she was in the world of Zenkaiger. Also, since this episode is focused on Papillon Ohger, I realized that a lot of my favorite idols are the purple members of their group. My favorite purple idols include Moneko Tsuzumi from Hachimitsu Block, Haruki Wakabayashi from Idol College and Melissa, Tonarino Airu from Ibeck, Nemuko Nekono from Leiwan, and Kian Risa from Empathy. Plank Stars has a purple idol too, but my favorite Plank Stars member is Momoshikiya Furuki no Kiba no Shino Bunimo Nawa Mariaru Mukashi Narikeri. Overall, this was a fun episode of Ohsama Sentai KingOhger. I really liked this episode, and it's not just because of the idol theme, but also because I like watching episodes that focus on Papillon Ohger. But anyway, that is all for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, I have nothing to do with Kuroninja.